Okay. So, last class we were discussing about different tests on stones, and one test was not discussed, that is the hardness test. What do you mean by hardness? Hardness means it is the ability of stones to resist abrasion. What do you mean by abrasion? When two building stones are rubbing against each other, or when a building stone is rubbing against another material, it will be having some wear and tear on the surface. There will be some loss of material from the surface. So, how much is the ability of the stone to resist the loss or resist the wear and tear? That we are going to discuss in the hardness test of stones. So, one important test, I do not know why today the attendance is very much less. Where are the others? Were you having a first lecture?
No.
You are not having. Okay, I do not know why others have not come. It is only 5 students. Okay, no problem. I am continuing. So, one important test of hardness which we are going to discuss today is the Dory abrasion test. Now, let us see what is happening in a Dory abrasion test. So, here you can see the test setup for performing a Dory abrasion test. This apparatus is already present in our laboratory. So, once the college is opened, you can have a visit to the laboratory and you can see how this test is determined. I do not know whether you have done this in your first year workshops. If you have done it, well and good. If you have not done, no problem. You will be performing it in the upcoming semesters. So, in Dory abrasion testing, what we are having is, we are having a circular disc, a flat circular iron disc. You can see the flat circular iron disc here. It is having a diameter of 60 centimeter, and the disc will be rotated continuously in a horizontal plane. You can have one flat circular iron disc, and the iron disc is having a radius of 60 centimeter, and this iron disc will be continuously rotated in the horizontal plane at 28 to 30 rpm speed. Okay. Now, what you are doing is, we are keeping one tray. We are keeping one tray to hold the aggregate sample. There is one funnel over here. You can see a funnel here. Through this funnel, you are feeding abrasive sand. So, once abrasive sand is fed and once the disc is rotated, the stones present in this tray will be subjected to abrasion due to the rotation of the disc and due to this abrading sand. You know what is the initial weight of stone sample, and after certain time period means you will be revolving the disc for 500 times. So, after 500 revolution, if you are observing the loss in weight of the stone, you will get how much loss has been occurred. That will give you a measure of the hardness. Okay. So, this test is known as the Dory abrasion test. So, Dory abrasion test, what is happening? You will be having one flat circular iron disc. A flat circular iron disc is present, which is capable of rotating in a horizontal plane. You will be having provision for fixing the sample, and once the sample is placed, once the stone sample is placed in the tray and you are allowing the revolution of the tray, I am sorry, you are allowing the tray to revolve for 500 revolutions, and before starting the revolution, you are feeding abrasive sand in the cone fixed there. Okay. So, due to contact with this abrasive sand, there will be loss in weight happening. Okay. So, that is how you can determine the hardness value. How much is the loss in weight occurring? That will give you an idea on the abrasive value. So, that is about the hardness test on stones. Now, so basic tests on stones, we have already discussed the basic test on stones. Now, we are going to see about the quarrying of stones. What do you mean by quarrying of stones? From where do you get this building material stone? The stone is a building material which is obtained from rock. rock will be existing in very large deposits. From this very large deposits of rock, you have to collect the stone as a building material. So quarry means you will be breaking the rocks, you will be breaking the rocks and you will be collecting the sample. You will be collecting the sample of building material when you are going for this quarrying operation. Now let us see in detail what is meant by this quarrying of stones. So quarrying of stones. What do you mean by quarrying? The stones occur in the form of natural rock masses or layers on the surface. The process of extraction of suitable stones from their natural bedrock or layer is commonly called as quarrying of stones. So what is meant by quarrying? Stones will be present in the form of rocks, large rock deposits. From these large rock deposits, what you have to do? You have to extract out your stone. So the process of extracting out the stone from the large rock deposit, you call that process as quarrying. Okay. Now let us continue. So now you know what is meant by a quarrying operation. Okay. Now selection of site for quarrying. If you are deciding to select the location of a quarry site, we have to keep the following factors into consideration. First of all, the quarry selected should be able to provide a large quantity or sufficient quantity of stone, and that stone should be of desired quality. You should not be compromising either on the quantity of stone and secondly on the quality of stone. Both these things should be achieved. Second, after the quarrying operation is done, the rocks that is quarried from, the stones that is quarried should be transported to the next spot, that is the construction site. So proper transportation facilities should be available. The quarry should be having a very good transportation facility. Then a lot of manual labor is required for quarrying operation. So the place of or the location of quarry should be such that you can get the local labor very cheaply. There should not be any problems associated with drainage of rainwater. Then there should be a good site for dumping the refuse. So these are the certain points which we have to check whenever you are going to select a quarry sites. Now these are the different quarrying tools. We will see with the figure. Wedge is there. You have, this is wedge, a pin, hammer, ratchet boring machine, drill, dipper, tamping bar, priming needle, jumper. Like that there are several other quarrying tools. Now quarrying methods. How you will be obtaining the stones from rocks. The rocks that are suitable for the manufacture of stone materials are called useful minerals, and the operations involved in obtaining minerals are called as mining. In the process of mining, the voids formed are called as excavation, and the mined deposits you call as the quarry. Now for various engineering purposes you need to obtain stones. So the process of obtaining stones for various engineering purposes you call it as quarrying. Now depending on the nature and surface of rocks and what is the purpose for which you have to get the stones, you will be adopting one type of method of quarrying. There are different methods of quarrying. Example, an excavating method is one method of quarrying, a wedging method is another method of quarrying, heating or blasting is another method of quarrying. So I hope you are following. Someone wants to do. Okay. I hope you are following what we were discussing. We were discussing about the quarrying of rocks. Quarrying means rocks will be existing in large deposits. From these large rock deposits, you have to get the stones required for our purpose. So the operation of obtaining stones from the large rock deposits, you call that operation as quarrying operation. Okay, we have already discussed. Now let us see. Excavating. Excavating is one method of quarrying. The stones that are buried in the earth or those stones which are existing in loose overburden, you will be using tools like pickaxe, crowbars, chisels, hammers, etc. So that is the excavation method. What do you mean by excavation? Some cases stones may be buried in the earth.
Sir, your voice is not clear.
Okay, fine. Hello, is it audible now? Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, fine. I'll continue.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So different methods of quarrying. Now we are going to see the different methods of quarrying. So one method of quarrying is known as excavation. So when will you go for excavation of stones from rocks? When the stone bed is not relatively hard and you have to excavate from a loose overburden where you can use hand tools like pickaxes, chisels, hammers, etc. When the loose overburden need to be digged out to obtain the stone, where you can use hand tools like pickaxes, hammers, chisels, etc. In such case, you will be going for excavation. Excavation is one method. Another method of quarrying which we have to see after excavation, another method of quarrying which we have to see is known as wedging. Wedging means it is suitable for costly, soft and stratified rocks. What do you mean by stratified rocks? We have already discussed. When the rock layer is in such a way that it is in different layers and the different layers are clearly identifiable, then you call that rock as a stratified rock. Remember. So when you have to obtain stratified rocks like sandstone, limestone, marble, etc., you will be going for wedging. So what you are doing? You are making deep holes, holes having depth of 10 to 15 centimeter at around 10 centimeter spacing. Vertically in the rock surface, you are making deep holes having 10 to 15 centimeter depth at around 10 centimeter spacing. So if you have a large rock like this, you will be making one hole here. This hole is having 10 to 15 centimeter depth. Another hole is made at a distance of 10 centimeter. Again another hole. Like that you are making a large number of holes. Now into these holes, you will be inserting steel pins and wedges or plugs. Then using hammers, you are striking over these plugs so that the holes will be getting widened. So once the holes are getting widened, after considerable number of beatings, the rock slab will be splitting into different parts. The slab is completely detached and you are taking out the slab with the help of rollers. In this method, wastage is minimum and the slabs of required size and shape can be obtained. So that is another method. One method we have already seen, that is the excavation method. After excavation method, you have studied one more method, that is known as wedging. What is happening in wedging? In certain cases, you have to quarry stratified rocks like limestone, sandstone, etc. What you will be doing is, you will be going to the parent rock. Over the parent rock surface, you will be drilling certain holes. The holes will be having 10 to 15 centimeter depth and a large number of holes provided at spacings of 10 centimeter will be drilled. Once the hole is drilled, you will be inserting one wedge. Similarly like this, you will be inserting a wedge or a plug and using hammers, you will be driving the wedge into that hole. So after considerable driving operation, the wedges will be getting split and the rock slab will be split. Okay. So this is how you go for the wedging operation. After wedging, you have another different kind of operation. Okay, I will show you one image. This is the image. You will be drilling holes like this and you will be inserting a plug like this and you will be drilling holes, and after considerable driving, it will be split into different pieces. Another method of quarrying you call as heating. if you want to obtain small, thin and regular blocks of stones from rocks such as granite and gneiss, what you are doing is you are placing a heap of fuel on the rock and it is fired on the surface of rock in a small area. The two consecutive layers of the rock separate because of uneven expansion of the two layers. The loosened rock portions are broken into pieces and desired sizes and are removed with the help of pickaxes and crowbars. So what you are doing here, you will be placing a heap of fuel on the surface of the rock. In a small area on the surface of the rock, in a very small area on the surface of the rock, you will be placing the fuel. And once the fuel is placed, you will be firing the fuel. So due to heating the surface, there will be splitting up of rock. Okay. So once splitting up of rock is happening, you will be obtaining different small sized rocks. So that operation is known as the heating operation. The stone blocks obtained due to heating are very suitable for coarse rubble masonry. We will be discussing about stone masonry. Already we have discussed about the brick masonry. I hope you remember it. English bond, Flemish bond, structure bond, header bond, all these things we have discussed when we were discussing about brick. Similar to brick, we are having stone, and similar to brick masonry, you have the topic of stone masonry. So when you are discussing about stone masonry, we will come to know what do you mean by a coarse rubble masonry. So these kind of rocks, these kind of stones which are obtained due to heating will be suitable for coarse rubble masonry. Let us see what is a coarse rubble masonry. Okay. So already we have seen three methods. First one is excavation, second one is wedging, and third one is heating. Now after heating, we are moving on to the next most important method. This is one of the most important methods of quarrying. What do you call this method? This method is known as blasting. Okay. So now let us see what do you mean by blasting. The blasting means you will be using explosives. You might have seen the use of explosives for quarrying. So blasting operation is by using different explosives. The explosives used for blasting are either you can go for blasting powder, or you can go for blasting cotton, then dynamite, cordite. These are the different explosives used for blasting. Now what are the different operations involved? Different operations involved in blasting are boring, charging, tamping and firing. Boring, charging, tamping and firing are the different operations involved in blasting. Now what do you mean by boring? We have a rock which need to be dislodged. We are drilling holes or we are boring holes on the rock surface. We have a tool known as jumper which can be used for drilling vertical holes, and for inclined or horizontal holes you will be using a boring bar. Now once the hole is made, once the hole is to be made, the person will be placing the jumper over it and another person will be striking the jumper and rotating it simultaneously. Now regularly during the boring operation, water will be poured inside the hole so that the drilling operation will be easily. Now once the drilling operation is continuing, you will be obtaining a muddy paste. Already I told you that water is being added. So you will be obtaining a muddy paste once this drilling operation is proceeding. So the muddy paste will be removed. Very hard rocks, in some cases you will be encountering with very hard rocks. So in such cases you will be going for a machine drilling instead of hand drilling. Now you know what is meant by, we are discussing about the blasting operation, and I told you what are the different explosives used for blasting. You can go for blasting powder, blasting cotton, detonite. These are the different examples of blasting materials used. First operation in blasting is drilling. Drilling or boring means you are making a hole on the surface of the rock. Now once the hole is made, what is the next step which you have to do? Let us see. Once the hole is made, the next operation is known as charging. The made hole is completely dried and the required amount of charge is placed in the holes. How you can go for drying? For drying the holes, rag is tied in the scraper and it is moved in the holes and where it absorbs the moisture. If water is oozing into the hole, water tightness is ensured inside the hole. So what you are doing is, first of all, you have to make sure that there is no water. In drilling operation, I told you, once the hole is made, you will be filling water in that hole for facilitating the easy drilling operation. So after drilling, once you are going for charging, the entire moisture need to be avoided. So how you can remove the moisture? You will be using cloth on scraper and this cloth will be inserted into the hole and cleaned properly so that entire amount of moisture will be absorbed. Now after charging, next operation is known as tamping. Once the charge is placed in the hole, you will be using a priming needle which will be projecting a little outside the hole. Now the priming needle should be kept on rotating while tamping is going on. Why you are going for tamping? So that the needle will remain loose in the hole. Then you will be taking out the needle and 60 to 75% of space created by withdrawal of needle is filled with gunpowder. You will be filling gunpowder inside. Then a brickford fuse, a small drop of cotton coated with tar is placed just touching the needle. The next operation is known as firing. Now once all the other operations are completed, we will be going for firing. Blasting powder and cordite are ignited by means of a fuse. In some cases you will be using gun cotton and dynamite. It is exploded by a method known as detonation. So this is an electrical detonator. You can see the diagram. This is how you will be placing you will be making hole, you will be using the charge, and once the charge is placed, you will be placing a fuse outside so that firing can be done through this fuse so that the risk of uncontrolled explosion can be reduced. So this is how you go for a blasting operation. Are you following me? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes, sir.
Yes,
Fine.
sir. Yes, sir.
I'll continue.
Yes, sir.
Now there are certain precautions to be taken in blasting. The blasting should not be carried out in late evening or early morning hours. The blasting should be made public and a siren should warn the workmen and nearby public timely to retire to a safe distance need to be provided. The danger zone means in a radius of 200 meter you will be fixing a danger zone, and these danger zones should be marked with red flags, and first aid should be made available in the site. In case if any accident occurs, proper first aid need to be made readily available at the work site. The number of charges fired, the number of charges exploded and the misfires should be recorded. In some cases you have fired for 20 number of charges and only 18 have exploded. There is a chance that 2 more is there and that may be getting exploded. So you should wait for some certain period of time to make sure that whether it is misfire, and if there is any misfire it should be recorded. Then the explosive should be stored and handled carefully. It should be very much carefully handled. Detonators and explosives should not be kept together. Cartridges should be handled with rubber or polythene glove. So these are the different precautions to be taken. So that is about the quarrying of stones. Different methods of quarrying we have already seen. What are the different methods? We can either go for, yes,
Excavating,
yes, excavating, then,
wedging,
yes, then,
heating,
okay,
then pouring.
yes. Okay, so you were listening, good. Now let us continue. Now we are going to see about the dressing of stones. Dressing of stones means You know that stones are obtained from rocks by different operations. Okay, you will not be able to have a proper control on the shape and size of stones once you are going for this operation of quarrying. So, in order to make sure that the shape and size of the stones, in order to make sure that the shape and size of the stones you obtain from rocks are within the specified limits or are acceptable, you have to go for proper dressing of stones. So, next is dressing of stones. A quarried stone will be having rough surfaces, and the rough surfaces need to be dressed in order to obtain a definite and regular shape. The dressing of stones is done immediately after quarrying and before seasoning to achieve less weight for transportation. The dressing of stones provide pleasing appearance, proper good bedding with good mortar joints. The dressing of stone is defined as the process of giving a proper size, shape and finish to the roughly broken stone as obtained from the quarry. Once you obtain a stone from the quarry, that will be in a very rough form. So, before the stone is taken from the quarry to the site, you can remove all the unwanted faces. Okay, you can remove all the unwanted projections and all the unwanted faces from the stone, so that you don't need to pay transportation charges. Sorry. So that you don't need to pay transportation charges for unwanted material. So that is why this dressing operation is very much essential. Now, what are the various objectives of dressing? Let us see the different objectives of dressing. To reduce the size of big blocks of stone so that they are converted to easily liftable pieces. This reduction in size is generally carried out at the quarry itself, because that saves a lot of transportation cost. I already told you that you don't need to pay for unwanted rocks, unwanted stone. So, all the dressing operation should be done at the site itself. Before you are carrying it into the site, you should make sure that all the dressing operation is carried out. Now, to give a proper shape to the stone, it is known that the stones can be used at different places in the building. So, to first of all you make sure that which stone is to be used in which part of the structure. So, according to that you will be giving proper shape to the stone. That is also another objective of dressing of stone. To obtain an appealing finish. In a residential building, stones are used not only because of their extra strength, hardness and durability, but also because of their aesthetic value. So, what are the various objectives of dressing? First of all, you don't need to pay unnecessarily. So, in order to avoid the paying transportation cost for unwanted material, dressing of stones will be carried out in the site itself. That is one objective. Second one, to give a proper shape to the stone. Depending on the location in which you are going to use the stone, you will be providing a proper appearance to the stone. And third one is, especially in case of buildings like residential buildings, where the aesthetic importance, where the beauty of building is a very important consideration. In such cases also, to make sure that the stone which you are using for construction is beautiful, you should make sure that the stone is properly dressed. So, these are the different objectives of dressing. Now, let us see the different methods of dressing. Dressing of stone can be done in both manual method or mechanical method. Manually means you will be having skilled laborers who can use chisel and hammer, and the required dressing will be done. In some cases you will be using machines. If you are using machine to cut the stone to the desired size and shape, then you call it as a mechanical dressing. So, there are basically two types of dressing: manual method of dressing and mechanical method of dressing. These are the different dressing. Pitched dressing, only the edges of stone block are made level with the help of hammer. And hammer dressing, it is that type of dressing in which large raised portions of stone are broken off and the stone is shaped. These are the different methods of dressing, rough tooling, punched dressing, all those details are not needed. So, you just understand what is meant by dressing operation and what are the objectives of dressing operation. I hope it is clear. Are you clear about what do you mean by quarrying and what is meant by dressing? Is it clear? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Sir, can I ask?
Okay, fine. So, I will continue. So, next we are going to see about the deterioration of stones. What do you mean by deterioration of stones? Actually, there are certain factors. Once you are using a stone in a construction site, there are certain factors which will affect the quality of the stones. The quality of stones in the sense, the appearance of the stone and the strength of the stone will be very much affected by certain environmental factors. Now, let us see what are the different factors. Let us see what are the different factors that will be affecting the deterioration, or that will be leading to deterioration of stones. Factors responsible. The most important factor responsible for the deterioration of stone is rainwater. So, the action of rainwater on stone can be both physical as well as chemical. Physical action means water is having erosive power. When I was discussing about the geological classification of stones, do you remember the geological classification? Is this class being recorded? Because I lost your voice in the middle. Okay, Yogita, no problem Yogita, the class is already being recorded and this will be uploaded in YouTube. Okay, so even if the voice is getting broken, no need to worry, the class will be continuing as such and every classes will be recorded and made available. So, do not worry about such things. Okay. So, what I was telling, okay, we were discussing about the, okay. So, we were discussing about, I was telling about the geological classification of stones. When we were discussing the geological classification, I told you, do you remember which were the three geological classification? There was three classes, igneous, sedimentary and metamorphic. So, at that point, I was explaining about the erosive action of different agents. So, I told you that water is one erosive agent. Water on coming in contact with the rock surface will be eroding certain portion from the surface of the rock and that will be getting transported to a different place and it will be getting deposited over there. We have already discussed. So, that factor of erosive property of water, okay, here you are seeing about the rain. The rainwater will be acting physically and chemically on the stones. The physical action is due to erosive and transporting powers and the later due to decomposition. Once the rock surface is coming in contact with water, certain chemical changes may be happening in the structure of the rock, not in case of all rocks but in cases of some rocks. So, rainwater can be affecting the stones physically as well as chemically. Okay. Now, let us see what is the next factor. One important factor causing the deterioration of rock is rain. Next one is decomposition. The disintegration of alkaline silicate of alumina in stones is mainly because of the action of chemically active water. Chemical action is another important factor which is causing the deterioration. In some cases, you might have heard about acidic rains. If the rainwater coming is acidic in nature, okay, then the acidic rainwater will be coming in contact to the chemical constituents of the stones and that will be leading to the decomposition of stone body and disintegration. Another one is oxidation and hydration. If the rock is containing iron compounds in the form of peroxide, sulfide, carbonate, etc., that will be getting oxidized or hydrated when it is getting in contact with water. So, that is another reason due to which there is a deterioration in the quality of stone. Another important factor is the frost. In some cases, I have already explained about frost action. Do you know what is a frost action? In some cases, the rock will be having fissures or pores in the surface. Rainwater will be entering into the fissures, and once there is a very low temperature, there will be solidification of rainwater in the cracks, and after solidification there will be formation of ice. Once the ice is formed, this ice will be exerting a greater volume than the water volume. Okay? So that is known as a frost action. Frost action is another important factor which causes the deterioration of rock. Next one is wind. Wind is capable of carrying dust particle. So if wind is carrying dust particle, there is chances of abrasion due to the dust particles. So that is another reason of deterioration. Then temperature changes. If there is sudden temperature changes, there is a chance that the rock may be expanding and contracting frequently. So this frequent expansion and contraction will be leading to the deterioration of stones, especially due to sudden volume changes. If there is expansion, means the volume will be increasing considerably. Again, it will be contracting, means there will be reduction of volume. So this sudden expansion and contraction frequently will be leading to deterioration. Next one is vegetable growth. The roots of plants and trees will be moving on into the stones, and this will make the stones damp, and some secretions will be made by these plates. Some secretions, organic or acidic secretions, will be made by these plants, which will be causing the deterioration of stones. So vegetable growth is another important factor causing the deterioration. Then chemical agents, smokes, fumes, acids, etc., if present in the atmosphere, that will be deteriorating the stones. Mutual decay. If different stones are used together, it may happen that a mutual decay may be happening. For example, you are using limestone and sandstone. The chemicals brought down from limestone by rainwater to the sandstone will be deteriorating it. It happens if you are having the use of different kinds of stones. One stone you have placed, over that you have placed another stone. So both the stones will be having